This is my 360 camera, which I can't actually put 360 on YouTube. It comes out as a big flat squished image in a circle. So if you can see the lens, it can see you. Okay. Epidemiology 101. Okay. If you have a germ on the end of your finger, okay, and you touch something, right, that's contact transference, right? If you sneeze, right, you got water droplets floating in the air. Most of the time they're going to fall completely down as soon as they get as far as they're going to go, which is 3 or 4 feet. Okay? There's sexual transmission. There's all these kinds of... Essentially what you have is fluid transfer. Right? Without water, you don't have life. Viruses are not technically alive because they don't replicate on their own. They're a weird little programming thing in biochemistry.
Gotcha.
Okay. One of the amazing things about God's creation of humanity is that we have an immune system that is incredibly sophisticated at protecting us.
Gotcha.
You have in your body stuff that if it got into other parts of your body would kill you. That's not related to your DNA. That helps you to digest your food. You have an insect right now in your eyelashes that eats your dead skin. It's called a mite. But it's a particular kind of mite that we have evolved that is a symbiote. There's parasites and symbiotes. A parasite is something that basically lives off of you without giving you any benefit. A symbiote is something that lives off of you but gives you something. It gets a benefit from you and it gives you a benefit. Do you drink milk?
No.
Are you unable to drink milk? You just don't like it?
I just don't like it.
Okay, but you can drink it once in a while, or you can eat cheese and it doesn't bother you, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have an enzyme in your stomach that is not related to you, that you probably got from your mother or an M&M on the ground. I don't know. But it helps you digest milk. If you don't get enough milk products over time, you can lose that enzyme, and it's incredibly hard to get it back into your system. And you become lactose intolerant. You get sick if you try and ingest it.
Mm-hmm.
Vegans often cannot eat meat. It makes them sick because they lose the enzymes it takes to break down the proteins. Anything along the order of a germ, which is an actual living thing that's a single-celled kind of thing, is going to mutate faster than we do. We adapt to our environments by breeding and having babies, and the ones that die don't pass on their genes. In Europe, there's a village that's famous because everybody there is immune to the Black Plague. Because everybody there that wasn't immune to the Black Plague died, and then all the rest of them had babies and passed on the gene that some of them had to the rest of them. We have antibodies in our bodies right now. That's actually how when you get the shot and it makes you immune to the disease,
Mm-hmm.
actually they're injecting you with dead disease cells.
Okay.
It started out with smallpox and cowpox. Have you ever heard the beauty of the milkmaid comment? Milkmaids used to be more beautiful in England than other people because a lot of people had smallpox scars. If they survived the smallpox, they had all these scars. The milkmaids were immune because they were exposed to cowpox. And it helped their body build an immune response. We're immune to all kinds of stuff. We have antibodies in our blood right now that is a list of all the stuff that we've been exposed to since we were little kids, that we lived through. That which doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Sir, I know we're just having a conversation, but could you just keep it down?
Okay. It's you and I.
We're not gonna do that.
Okay. You asked. I'm telling. Okay. So, when it comes to COVID, a lot of things seem like a good idea, and maybe to a fraction of their perceived worth, they have some worth. But there's, in all policy decisions on a large scale, we should definitely take a look at what's called a cost-benefit analysis. Okay, so a cost-benefit analysis is how much does a thing cost to make that decision, and what is the benefit, and what is the balance between the two things. Shutting down our country, all of our economics, and breaking family communications with your elders so that the elders have to hide in a old folks home and the people don't get to visit them. There might be some epidemiological logic to it, depending on the severity of the outbreak of a disease, right? Mm-hmm. But what's the cost? What's the economic cost? What's the social cost? And what's the national security cost? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So, if COVID is severe beyond a certain level, a lot of things make sense. And not every policy decision that people have made makes sense. Mm-hmm. The governor of New York getting busted, forcing senior centers to take COVID patients, does not make sense. Because seniors are more sensitive to disease and injury of any kind than young, strong, healthy people in general. There was a protest by seniors at a senior center in New York where they came out in the front of the senior center with signs that said, "We'd rather die of COVID than loneliness."
Yeah, that's true. No.
There's something to that, right? We are social creatures. There's a list of different animals in the world that are social, that they're not as healthy mentally, and with mental health comes physical health because stress has an effect on the body. We humans are also, one of the reasons that our bodies are actually weaker than other animals, and yet we're at the top of the food chain, is because we're clever. And we're able to pass on that cleverness to children, to the younger ages. One of the great advantages of seniors in a community is when you get to talk to them. When you're a toddler growing up in a home where grandpa lives in the home or next door, mom can send the kids next door to grandma's house for a couple of hours. Mm-hmm. Grandma, her heart rate, her heart health improves, her digestion and all these stress-related issues reduce in seniors when they get to see kittens and puppies and grandchildren, when they're part of a social life and they have a purpose. Their purpose is to pass on that crazy stuff they went through. Now the question becomes, in that cost-benefit analysis, how severe is COVID? How much damage is it doing? Well, in most people, it's not. It actually improves most people by making them immune to the COVID with very little symptoms, which is common in diseases. What a disease is a germ or a virus that mutates into a form that is harmful to a human. Not all biology is harmful to us. We drink spring water when we go up to the mountains in Idaho, and if we're locals, we don't get sick. But if you're from somewhere that drinks a lot of chlorinated water, and you've never had a lot of exposure to stuff, and you go there and you drink the water, you're going to be sick for 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
And it's going to feel like God wants your insides on your outsides. And you'll be fine afterwards. You'll be immune to it. You'll be able to drink the water. It's fine. Same thing with the Cordova crud. In Cordova, Alaska, the creek water up there will make you sick for 3 days, just like that. And everybody gets over it, unless you're really weak and you die, which is, I've never heard of anybody dying of Cordova crud. But that's the nature of the immune system, and it's the nature of life, that we live up to a point and then we become frazzled, worn out, and we die of anything that comes along. So at what point do we shut down our whole society?
Here, bud. You can come over.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And at what point do we open up our society?
Right.
And when you look at the fact that democratically controlled states and communities are reporting higher COVID rates than Republican, then there's some reason that's coming out. It may be because people are faking things, under or over reporting, or reporting things falsely, or that kind of thing. Or it may be because of policies that actually increase or decrease the effect of the disease in the community, or both. As a statistician would do, if they're honest, is they would go through all the data and try and find the truth behind the results. That's how I feel about COVID, in a nutshell.
Gotcha. Makes sense.